Hello, athletes. Welcome to video number one of the Uphill Goat. These will be kind of a weekly or as frequently as I feel necessary videos to talk about things that I think will be helpful to you. The first thing I wanted to talk about today was pre-race routine and nutrition. I did ask this question frequently, and so my hope is that this video will be a tool available to all of you and anyone else for an understanding of why race day routine is important and how it will help you as an athlete. So, first, I'm just going to kind of explain my story with this and how I have learned race morning routine and why I know that it's so important and how you can adapt it to fit your needs the best way possible. So, all growing up when I was racing, starting when I was 14 years old, I didn't really have a race morning routine. I would kind of just eat a breakfast, eat a lunch, I don't know, whatever it was before, show up, maybe kind of spin my legs for 10 or 15 minutes, and then go to the start line and race. And I was able to still do fine. Like, I had some good races, but I wasn't super consistent. And it was kind of hit or miss as to whether or not I would have a good day. But as soon as I started my race morning routine, that was when I started excelling and performing well consistently. So my junior year, I was racing varsity, and the first race, I think they used to always have oatmeal of some sorts before my race, but I had some oatmeal. I didn't get much sleep the night before. Kind of did a wimpy warm up, and had one of the most frustrating races where nothing went wrong, but I just felt like I underperformed dramatically. And I talked to one of my coaches at the time, named Ty Hopkins, who is one of the most experienced bike racers there is, and coaches, athletes. He's a professor of human performance here at BYU and has his PhD in human performance, and he knows what it takes to perform well. And he talked to me about this pre-morning, pre-race routine. And he said that I need to eat waffles 4 hours before my race, and I need to eat until I'm full and then eat one more. And then he said an hour before to have a banana and a granola bar, and then to start my warm up probably 30 minutes before the race. And so that was kind of where my foundation started with my pre-race routine. So then I started doing that, and immediately I went from 12th in that first race to third the following race after I implemented this routine, and I've done it over and over and over again. And I've experimented. I've tried 4 hours before, 3 hours before, and I've ultimately settled on 3 hours and 45 minutes before as the ideal time. And I just buy a simple pancake mix from Walmart these days. You can get the Krusteaz mix. We're not looking for anything complicated here. These are easy carbs, carbs that your body can digest and use as fuel really, really quickly. That's the goal here. And so I now I usually just do pancakes just because it's easier and I don't have a waffle iron here at college, or at least a good one. And so 3 hours and 45 minutes before I start cooking these pancakes and eating them. And I have like 10 to 15 of these. I have a lot of pancakes. I can eat a lot of food, and like I said, I eat until I am full, and then I have one more pancake so I'm like topped off, right? And then you have to recognize this is enough time before the race that you're going to have time for this food to really digest and get into your system, and you're going to top off all of your fuel sources. And then just to keep them top off, you're gonna have a granola bar and a banana 1 hour before. And I like the soft and chewy chocolate chip granola bar. Again, it's simple. These are fast, easy sugars. This is not the kind of food you want to be eating on the day to day. This stuff isn't healthy. It's not good for you, but it's good for racing. And then I have a banana to top off all those fuel sources, all the sugars. And then that's when I do my and then right about that hour, right after I eat the banana and granola bar, I now start my meditation. I usually do a 10-minute headspace meditation. You can find it on YouTube. They're super simple. This allows me to really get into a good headspace. And now it's become a trigger for me where as soon as I start meditating, I get into a race mode and I get ready to race. I don't do this every time. If this is just a simple weekly race series, I don't always see this as the most important thing. But most of the time, I will meditate. And then I have my pre-race song. I watch one music video, one song, that's all I do. Granted, again, this is where you're going to need to get customizable. This one song that really gets me riled up and get me excited probably won't get you excited. And I watch the music video because, again, it gets me in my zone. It's become part of my routine. The fact that it's not necessarily the fact that it's a good song that I like, but rather that it's part of my routine. I have to do it now. It gets me set up and ready to warm up. Again, I don't always do this. I probably should, but if it's a small local race where I don't have to perform well, it's not as big of a deal. But again, I try to do it as much as I possibly can. And if it's a big race, I will always make it happen. I've got my Bluetooth headphones on, I meditate, and then I listen to the song, and then I start my warm up. And then about 15 to 20 minutes before start time, I eat my dew. And I warm up for like 30 to 45 minutes now, depending on the length of the race. I have two different warm up options. And you'll see those in training views, right? Sometimes they give you the warm up or the warm up extended version. I think one's like 24 minutes and one is 39 minutes. And those, again, I generally will give you those based on the length of the race. The longer the race, the shorter the warm up you need. But the shorter the race, the longer the warm up you need, because you have less time during the race to get those engines firing. You need to be ready to go from the get go. So that's why you need a longer warm up. And so, and then I usually try to get to the start line, depending on the race, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes before start time, where I will kind of just relax, recover. I'll kind of go through the course, and I'll visualize a best case scenario, a perfect race and a perfect start specifically. And then I'll just kind of sit there and let my mind be still. Sometimes I pray and then the race goes. And I just ride. I have a kind of a way I like to race, but again, this is where you're going to have to become individualized. There's not, what I do won't necessarily work for you. I like to start strong, get a gap, make a small group, and then ride the race. Other people like to come from behind. For me, I love being chased. I don't like chasing. I have a hard time chasing. And so you need to learn these things about yourself, and then you like ride the race according to your strengths so that you will be able to perform at your best. So I'm going to put this in the description of this video, and I've sent this to many of you. But 3 to 4 hours before, pancakes or waffles, easy mix, ideally with maple syrup, 100% pure maple syrup. I didn't say that before, but that's important as well. 1 hour before, a banana or granola bar, 20 minutes before, a dew. And if you can do beet juice as well, beet juice 30 minutes before. That's also super beneficial if you can do it consistently through training and racing. So that's my routine. Again, there are other options. I'm going to call this the Kate Courtney routine because I know that she does waffles before her races as well. There's something else I do. This is what I do if I have an early race start. Let's say I'm racing at 7 a.m. and I don't want to have to wake up at 3 a.m. to be able to get my pre-race waffles. Or especially if, like, let's say I have a 7 a.m. start and I was on a date the night before, right? I'm in college. I'm going on dates. And I'm not going to want to wake up at 3 a.m. to be able to eat my waffles. In fact, the sleep will be more beneficial to me than getting up in time to eat those waffles. So what I do instead is oatmeal. But here's the thing with oatmeal. It goes through the system a whole lot faster than pancakes do. And it's not as good to me, so I can't eat as much of it. With pancakes, I can really pound them. You should have seen my plate of pancakes at National Champs. It was like a mountain. It was so high. It was so good. Anyway, so if I do oatmeal, I'm trying to remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure I eat an hour and a half before and eat a good amount of oatmeal, and then I do the same everything else. Banana granola bar an hour before, and then I'm back in my routine, do everything the same otherwise. So for those of you who do oatmeal, I know some of you like to do oatmeal. We've talked about this. You don't like the pancakes as much. You can't eat it as soon before the race. You have to eat those pancakes you have to eat the oatmeal about an hour and a half. Again, this is probably kind of a 1 to 2 hour range where you're going to have to experiment and figure out what works best with your body. And you're going to want to ideally put pure maple syrup in that as well, in that oatmeal. So that's the other option. That's honestly all I would do. I know some of you have talked about eating hotel eggs or breakfast burritos or hash browns. And all of those things, I haven't really discouraged that, but I honestly should. Those things are too hard. They sit in the body. It's not going to go through your system as well. You're not going to be able to burn it as well. It's not as good of a race day fuel. If you want to eat those in other days and you feel good doing that, that's great. But for racing, when you're looking for a high intensity, consistent effort for an hour to an hour and a half or 20 minutes if it's short track, it needs to be something that your body can burn through easily and quickly. And pancakes or oatmeal, these simple carbs, are going to be the best way to do that. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm racing this afternoon. Race starts at 6:30. It's 2 o'clock right now. So I will be starting my routine pretty soon here. And it was on my mind. A lot of you have been asking about that as we've been getting into race season. So I hope that's helpful. But again, remember that meditation and music video that I do. I don't necessarily care that it's those things that you do on race day, but I want you to find something that works. This could be, maybe it's a stretching routine. Maybe it's talking to a friend. Maybe it's, I don't know, riding a pump track for a few minutes. It can be a variety of things, but the more consistent you become before the race, the more consistent you will perform at racing. It will trigger your mind and body to be ready to perform at its best if you can do this. The other thing is this can start not just the morning before, the morning of, it can start the night before, days before. That's something that I want to keep building into my, if I have a big race, I want to have perhaps a week long routine, which I kind of do. If I know what my training will look like if it's an A race, and maybe I watch the same movie on a Tuesday before a race, and then maybe I hanged out with the same friend on the Thursday that brings me good positive energy, and then maybe you can really build these back, and it will establish over and over deeper and deeper consistency to be able to perform really well. So if you have questions about this, if you want to talk more about it, you can shoot me a text or call me. But that's really the fundamentals. I don't really have a lot more to give you with my race morning routine than what I just went through. So the next time you text me, hey, what should I do on race morning? I'm going to send you this video, and I hope that it will be helpful. But again, if you have extra questions, you can always let me know. Thanks.